I'm here to present you the work Rechteck Fyrkant. If they were the same thing, but they are not. So my first slide presents a bit how I named this work, the reason for the title of the work. On the left side, you see a square being Rechteck, the word for naming a square in German. And on the right side, you see a rectangle being Fyrkant, the word in Swedish to name a rectangle. So basically, the artwork Rechteck Fyrkant has got as a base a square frame. And as we all know, the square is a particular case of a rectangle. And so a square is a rectangle, but is in our common sense, as we can verify in these two shapes on the left and on the right, they are not the same thing. So it's maybe just a small introduction on and to justify why I gave this title to the work, which is basically rectangle, square rectangle. The conceptual context of this artwork includes algorithmic composition, generative art, the concept of perceptual object, the phenomena of after images, in this case, positive after images, and human retinal persistence. It's also included as a strategy in this work, the Gestalt laws of closure, similarity, proximity, and continuity. About algorithmic composition. Oh, let me just, sorry, I have to close here the chat window, otherwise I can't see the full slide, okay? In Rechteck Fyrkant, the space between creative vision and randomness is explored. Algorithms are transformed into a medium of artistic creation through thought and practice that enhances the capacity of expression through the development of principles and methods that support the creation of systems for data creation, calculation, and mapping. An original executable algorithm that uses data determined by stochastic processes is the core of this performative system. Galanter in 2003, maybe the most quoted author or the most quoted definition of what generative art is, stated, generative art refers to any art practice where the artists use a system, such as a set of natural language rules, a computer program, a machine, or other procedural invention, which is set into motion with some degree of autonomy, contributing to or resulting in a completed work of art. The key element in generative art is the system to which the artist cedes partial or total subsequent control. For Rechteck Fyrkant, I designed and programmed an autonomous system that calculates in real time unpredictable rhythmic and micromelodic sequences that are perceived as precisely located audiovisual events. The system, activated and stopped by a human, runs autonomously, and the human, performer, can choose among different system states and influence on each of them through probabilistic systems, tessitura, gamut, and rhythmic indeterminism. Let me open a parenthesis in this presentation to explain you why I wrote the indeterminism with the inside parentheses. Because, as I see it, and as I want to use it in this work, the prefix in can be understood as negation, and so indeterminism can be understood as a non-deterministic or non-determinist. But the prefix in can also be understood as the prefix from inside. And so the indeterminism within in parentheses can also mean the movement inside determinism. And this is because in the work, I believe that there is this hybrid and it operates in the thresholds of determinism and indeterminism. I will close the parenthesis. Another concept I explored in this artwork is the concept of perceptual objects. And according to Teramoto et al., most objects and events in the external world generate concurrent inputs to several different sensory modalities of humans, of course. We are speaking about human senses. Hearing and seeing at the same time can be named as auditory visual integration. Beasley et al. Stated that what we hear and see takes strikingly different physical forms and are necessarily encoded by different sensory receptor organs. But auditory and visual features are effortlessly bound together to create a coherent percept. So basically, I try to present here a very simple diagram of what a perceptual object could be, and at least in this realm of audiovisual context. So basically, most objects in our daily life, they have associated or they can trigger more than one senses simultaneously. And for example, when we have got a synchronous event, an audiovisual synchronous event, like a glass that falls on the floor and makes a noise, we have got a visual stimulus and audible stimulus that occur at the same time. So as we see, we have a timeline from left to right, time evolving from left to right. Yeah, we also have the phenomena of asynchronism, of events that occur, for example, visible and audible events that occur in different moments in time, even if they could occur in the same space. This idea of perceptual object, basically what it is about, is that we have got different stimulus to different senses, and you as human beings are able to integrate them and concatenate them in the idea of a single object. It was intentionally that I didn't represent this lamp or this idea in the end of this human being, of this silhouette, because I personally believe that this perception of the world and the perception of the objects that surround us are not limited to a process in the brain, but to the body as a whole. However, it appears then in the center of the body near the chest or the heart, but it's just a graphical coincidence. The idea is that this perception phenomena, it's of the body as a whole. So when we hear a dog barking, that is synchronism. We are quite near and we see the dog and the object and the source of the sound, and we hear the sound more or less at the same time. However, when we see a storm and we hear a storm, there is an asynchronism phenomena because light travels much faster than sound. And if we have got a storm happening 1 kilometer away from us, as we know that sound travels at 300 something meters by second, for sure we will see the lightning bolts, and only after 1 or 2 seconds we will hear the corresponding sound. But even like that, in the case of the dog, we identify this as a perceptual object. We understand that auditory and visual stimulus belong to the same source and to the same object. And the same happens in the lightning storm, let's say. This means that the synchronism is not a condition for a perceptual object. So there are perceptual objects where there is no synchronism between the stimulus that occur. And even like that, we humans can associate it and we can merge them into a single object. So I will show you very quickly 2 examples of past works that ground Rechteck Fyrkant and explore this idea of synchronism and asynchronism. On the left, Sail, Synchronous as in Life, a work from 2019, and on the right, Asynchronous as in Life, a work from 2019. I would leave you the links in the chat, and because I don't know how my bandwidth is at this moment, so I would leave you the links. And I think the users, the guests. So I'll give you the first link. It's for the video of the documentation of sale. It takes 1 minute 26. And the second link will be for the documentation of a sale. So I can explain very quickly what each one of the works does. So basically sales explore and implement spatiotemporal synchronism between visible and audible events. So basically there is a LED bar horizontal. There are 4 loudspeakers that allowed me to make sound specialization. And so the visual events that occur in the LEDs bar are precisely synchronized with spatialization of sound. So if you see an event occurring in the left, you will hear a sound occurring in the left. If you see an event occurring in the right, you will hear the sound. And so there are movements. On the other way, a sale, asynchronous as in life, explores precisely the asynchronicity of events. So basically, I try to simulate distance by creating latency between the visible events and the audible events. So if we see a lighting bar crossing from right to left in the bar, and the sound is synchronous, it will give us a feeling that that's perceptual object is quite near us. In another way, if that light crosses and after half a second or 1 second we will hear a sound of it, it will give us the feeling that that perceptual object is more far away from us, from our experience, as I said before, of experiencing the difference between speed of light and speed of sound. So I would wait for 2.5 minutes that the attendants would watch these 2 videos, and then I would come back to my presentation. Is it possible that you stream the videos from there? So these 2 works are basically the grounding and were the first experiments I did using LEDs. I'm working with synchronization already since 2 decades, but these were 2 experiments I did more exploring this idea of the perceptual objects. So the Gestalt principles I used in Rechteck Fyrkant were the law of closure, similarity, proximity, and continuity. As you might know, law of similarity, we tend to organize and group shapes or form that share somehow similar. So we could say that there are here 4 corners, even if they form a square, but we can associate them by their color, by the size of the dots. Also, law of proximity, we could understand that there here, even we always see the square, we could consider that there are here 2 shapes because these corners are, so the white ones are more near each other and the green ones are more near each other, or the law of continuity, that we tend to group as a continuous line, a sequence of visual elements, and the law of closure, that it's an implicit image, so it's not an explicit square, but an implicit one. We see that a square, however, it's not. And that it's something that I explore in Rechteck Fyrkant, because we never see the square as a whole. We always see parts of it, and we tend to build and to fill it. The after image phenomena. Positive after images retain the colors of the original image. Part of the process of generating an after image is attributable to a retinal rebound effect. The cones in the retina generate electrical signals in response to red, green, or blue light falling on them. When you fix your gaze on something and then suddenly look away, the electrical current from the cones doesn't stop immediately. This can happen, for example, in the night when we watch to a light and we look to another place in the darkness and we still feel that light. Scientists believe that retinal inertia, the continued generation of electrical current in the rods and cones in the back of the eye, is the major reason for seeing a positive after image. Saccade, which is something that we do constantly with our eyes, is a rapid conjugate eye movement that shifts the center of gaze from one part of the visual field to another. Saccades are mainly used for orienting gaze towards an object of interest. Rapid ballistic movements of the eyes that abruptly change the point of fixation, according to Poors et al. After image and saccade, so I use in Rechteck Fyrkant the human retina as a medium. And so Rechteck Fyrkant is directed towards the audience and produces irregular flashes of light that last for just some milliseconds. So the frequency at time operating the LEDs, it's 200 Hertz. So basically that can light on and off at speeds of 5 milliseconds. As you might know, 200 Hertz, it's 200 events per second. You also might know that our human perception works at between 25 or 30 or even above 12. We already have the illusion of movement when we watch movies in the cinema on our screens. We don't go much above, I would say, maximum 60 frames per second or whatever. And here, the sequence of visual events, it's much, much faster, as you see, 200 events per second. So these flashes occur at different locations of the square of the frame that hold the LED strips. During the performance, the audience experience strong and vivid multiple sequential after images that will be imprinted in different regions of the retina, resulting in unpredictable individual visual assemblages compositions. So these unpredictable visual compositions that occur exclusively in the retinas of the eyes of each audience member occur due to several instinctive consecutive saccades, which are that rapid eye movement. So I will try to explain you. So imagine in the left is the frame with LEDs, and on the right there is the retina. When I light up just a corner of the LEDs or of the frame, that small 90 degrees angle will be imprinted in the retina. And if I immediately switch off that corner and I switch on another corner, it will happen a saccade. So our eyes will move and will point to the new lighting corner of the square. And so, but this is so fast that what happens is that we will superimpose the image that we just saw before with the actual image, because as I told you, this is very fast, happens sometimes at 200 times per second. And if I would, for example, light up the next corner, there would be still the after image of the previous stimulus, and I would be already showing a third one. And so basically what this would be, for example, a fourth bar. So basically what happens is that the assemblage of all these stimulus occur in the retina. So this is very difficult or impossible to demonstrate without really showing the piece, but I hope this example was clear. So basically this is someone being exposed to the object. I will play very quickly a video from it. I hope you can hear it from there, and you will let me know, please. Okay, so basically was this. I will just let you the link for the Rechteck Fyrkant video in the chat, and I think I have use all my time, but if you have any question, I'm sorry for this attribulated presentation.